Aloha. Welcome to the Dawn of Prophecy for this September 3rd, 2015. Today is Aloha Thursday. We live in prophetic times, which means we are a prophetic people, and therefore we must take prophetic actions. It's a time of fast and furious prophecies coming to pass before our very eyes on all of the news media outlets, as well as on our newspaper front page, just about everywhere you look, turn, even at the water cooler or at the coffee line. You'll hear about the urgency of convergency as it all is coming to a head. Today's top topic is Super September, which I alluded to yesterday. And one of the top news headlines that we're seeing today on the September 3rd is that China is showing off its military muscle. It is doing a massive parade, putting out all of its equipment, artillery, and this almost as a forewarning to the world that it's ready. The question is, how is this prophetic? I don't want to be political. I want to be prophetically speaking into your life. And how does this hold up to the light of God's word? Because we're always to check every word you hear against the light of God's word, the Bible. Today, another step closer to the prophecy of Ezekiel 38 and 39, the battle of Gog and Magog. And you can read it there for yourselves in graphic detail. It talks about a horde army so huge it cannot be counted. It will descend from the north. And the most likely candidate as far as situation or location in the north, as well as the size, this horde army that cannot be counted, biggest population on the face of earth is China, simply said. And I believe they'll be joined by Russia, who is also making some big military strategic moves. Having eyes to see prophetically, it is a time of positioning. And we've talked about this before. You can go back and review some of the YouTube videos that I've released here with Dawn of Prophecy. And the bottom line is, in a spiritual battle, which we are fighting according to Ephesians 6, there is spiritual positioning of all of the armies of God. We must get into our position, your position, my position, the place that God has called you to serve as super friends in these last seconds of the last day. Now let's turn to today's prophetic word, as I would like to be as iron sharpens iron, a friend that sharpens you in the truth. This is the month of September, which we know prophetically the Rhema word is Super September. In July, I recorded a video on 12 prophetic events, all coming to pass before September, the end of September. And this is that super month of fast and furious prophecies, worth a recap of those that we have to look forward to this month coming quickly, because today is the 3rd. And I place these in chronological order. Forgive the brevity, but if you need more detail, you can be a Berean and research these things for yourself. I'm going to go through these very quickly, and there's 13 total. Number 1 will happen on 9/11. That this year falls on a Friday. 9/11 will be the 14th anniversary of the terror attack on the United States by jihadist Islamists. And the 9/11 has a special significance to Islamic jihadists. Be warned and be watchful, as they may look for opportunities to steal, kill, and destroy on Friday, 9/11 of this year. Number 2, right after 9/11, a few days later, is 9/13, Sunday. This is Elul 29 on the Jewish calendar. This is the last day of Shemitah, which is the balancing of financial records. It is a day of reckoning. That's 9/13, which falls on a Sunday. Prophetically, the wiping out of all debts in God's balance, and historically, the day of reckoning for American markets. As you remember, in 2008, the Dow dropped 777.7 points. I love it when God shows off like that. That's his number, 777.7, just to, boom, put a little exclamation mark on it. And in 2001, 7 years before that, the biggest single day drop in history was on that date, which up until 2001, the Dow dropped 685 points on the last day, Elul 29 of that year. This year, 2015, Elul 29 falls on September 13th, the last day of the Shemitah, but that falls on a Sunday, as I mentioned. And so we might want to watch the markets on either the Friday or Monday, Friday before, which is 9/11, we're back to that number, or the Monday following, which is 9/14. A third thing happening prophetically is on the same date of 9/13, you're also going to see a solar eclipse. And just to show off a third prophetic event on that day, which is number 4 on our list today, On 9/13 is also the high holy day on the Jewish calendar of Rosh Hashanah, the Feast of Trumpets. And this is a Jesus jackpot. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. 3 prophetically significant events all happening, converging on the same day. The urgency of convergency. God is just showing off. It is not a coincidence. It is a God incidence. But we're not done yet. Number 5 event in this super month of September. It happens the next day after 9/13. That'll be 9/14. You don't have to have a Hilo High education to get that, but I do. 9/14 is the end of the Shemitah, which means it is the beginning of the year of Jubilee, the 50th year on the Jewish calendar, and it is a time of great and grand blessings for the people of God who are living according to his word, will, and way. So let's look forward to that. Number 6 on the prophetic events happening all in the month of September happens on a very big day, 9/23. September 23rd has been so huge, even on secular media, movies, music, TV shows, on and on and on. They all keep flashing this, even in the background of The Simpsons or on different shows, 9/23, 9/23. Well, 9/23 falls on a Wednesday. And the very first of the epic prophetic events, because that's what I'm sticking to, not The Simpsons, is the predicted prophecy by the scientist Sir Isaac Newton. He was a great man of faith, a great man of God's word, and he studied especially the book of Daniel and Revelation, which he called, and he released a book called Observation upon the Prophecies of Daniel and Apocalypse of St. John. Once again, you can look it up, Observation upon the Prophecies of Daniel. He was especially fond of the book of Daniel, and Apocalypse of St. John by Sir Isaac Newton. Number 7 on our 13 events all happening in this month is that same day, 9/23, is the high Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, the Feast of Atonement. And number 8, 9/23, the same exact day again, Pope Francis of the Catholic faith will arrive in the United States of America for his very first visit ever. He will visit the president at the White House the next day, 9/24, address Congress. He arrives 9/23. And then 9/25, the Pope will also open a general session of the United Nations. And the Vatican has already released a letter in support of the next item. By the way, before I get to number 9, I just want to say, excuse me, that again, on 9/23, you're seeing 3 prophetic events all happening at the same time. And that's again the cha-ching, 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 Jesus jackpot. 3 epic prophetic events. Now the next item, number 9, as we appreciate that Jesus jackpot before departing it, number 9 happens on September 25th. That is the expected opening of the United Nations. As I said, the Pope will be addressing that and doing the official opening in New York. And we're expecting that the measure for a Palestinian state will be passed by the United Nations. It's already been supported by the Vatican as they wrote a letter of support, released it this past summer, and that will be the fulfillment of the prophecy in Zechariah 12. You may be a Berean and look that up for yourself. It also would be the fulfillment of Psalm 83, which predicts the Islamic alliance against Israel, and Genesis 12, verse 3, where it says, God will bless those who bless Israel and curse those who curse Israel. And in the end, we know that all nations will align against Israel. And this looks like it's ship-shaping up within our very time, possibly this month. Number 10, and this is going to lead to 4 on the same date of September 28th. You're going to see the 4th blood moon. Number 11, 9/28, that's also a lunar eclipse while we're staring at the red blood moon. It'll be an eclipse. And number 12, it'll be a supermoon. It's all packed into that one thing, that one day. Supermoon will appear at its largest possible size. And finally, on the epic events of September, number 13, on that same date of 9/28, it'll also be the Feast of Tabernacles. And that's a high holy day on the Jewish calendar. Yet another Jesus jackpot. 4 items this time, just to show off even further. Signs and wonders in the heavenlies. And that wraps up our epic prophetic update for today. 13 epic events all happening in this, by the end of this super month of September. including 3 Jesus jackpots, cha-ching, 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 which is like Jesus megabucks. You hit the big one right there. God is shaking us up and waking us up before he gets to taking us up, family of God. Be aware, be awake, and be ready. Mark your calendars accordingly. 9/11, 9/13, 9/23, 9/28. These are just some of the ones that we know about, all 13 of them. And live accordingly in expectation of God's goodness coming quickly. The birth pangs are here, but we're going to see a new season and a new life. We live in exciting super times as supernatural superheroes. May God bless you. Go Team God and dare to share. Aloha.